going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the NBA Slate Starter Podcast. I'm Eric, joined with my buddy Ryan as we break down Tuesday's 6/maybe 5 game NBA DFS slate. I mean, I'm kind of burying the lead a little bit. Ryan, you want to talk about today a little bit?
Well, it's COVID health and safety protocols in the NBA in a nutshell, notifying us after tip-off that very important game for us DFS players will not be happening. Therefore, resulting in us in looking on Twitter for some news of what these sites are going to do, how they're going to pay out the contest and whatnot. It's unfortunate that the game couldn't go. Obviously, Will Barton was leading the way over there. Monty Morris was another popular option. Jeremy Grant on some sites was a popular option. A true late night hammer comes back and hammers us. So here we are. We're on to Tuesday we go.
I really don't know what else to say. I mean, it's a huge bummer. I'm hoping, FD, because that's where I had all of Barton exposure, all of my Michael Porter Jr. exposure, all of my exposure that is not winning any money currently is over there because of some unfortunate stuff. But what can you do? We move on to another day. We hope that it doesn't keep happening. But knowing this year, knowing this last calendar year, it's going to keep popping up here and there, so nothing you can do about it. Props to the sites that help out the players and do the good stuff, and we know who they are, so appreciate you guys. We'll see how it all turns out. Let's get right to the analysis. Before we do, take a look at the bottom bar. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, so you know when this and all the other content at Awesemo goes live. We are doing some good stuff. We're now over that 50K number, making that push for 100K before the Super... No, we're not doing that. 100K maybe in the next 6 months. How's that sound? I would love that. So keep the lights on here. Give us a little positive reinforcement down there on the bottom bar. Let us know that you like what we do. Let's get right to it.
I do want to jump in and say we are having a massive giveaway. You could win one of 50 Awesemo Plus weekly passes. Go to the @Awesemo_com Twitter handle. Look at the pin tweet. Follow the instructions. And if you follow the instructions, you might be one of the 50 people who win the weekly pass. So make sure to do that.
I love when you interrupt me for good stuff. That's just fine by me. We want to help you guys out. This is a fun place to be. It's a great place to work. It's a fantastic spot to be a subscriber. Good stuff happening all the time. Let's keep doing that together. So let's get to the top of point guard. Let's start over on FanDuel today because I go back and forth. I try to spread it out as much as possible. But top end of point guard over on FanDuel for our 6/5 game slate, depending on what Detroit has happen. Portland is visiting Washington. That'll be a fun one. Portland coming off of just getting slaughtered today against Milwaukee. We've got Damian Lillard sitting at 10,200. Russell Westbrook coming off of his absolute nuclear bomb that he dropped on the world, and the Brooklyn Nets in a KD revenge spot, sitting at 10K. Kyrie Irving now against the Clippers. That Brooklyn over-under is going to be 240. I mean, those two games specifically on this slate are going to just be so fantasy relevant, it's not even funny. So Kyrie Irving sitting at 9,500. Steph Curry, tougher matchup against Boston, but Steph Curry with all the usage in the universe at his disposal hasn't really popped off a big one here recently, but they've also had a lot of blowout wins. So he got to 44.5 against Detroit in just 29 minutes. I wouldn't mind him. He's probably going to be the lower owned of that four guard trio. Who do you kind of prefer up top, and we'll move down?
Yeah, I think it's we're gonna like Dame Lillard in his shot volume versus this woeful Washington defense. I think 10-7 and 10-2 on FanDuel makes for a fine spend up option. I like Dame Lillard. He's gonna have all the volume in the world wherever he wants against this Washington defense. Kyrie versus the Clippers. Kyrie's not as interesting this time out. I expect all of the band to be back together. Pretty much what I expect could be an NBA Finals preview. It's a preview that I had predicted. So I'm looking forward to this matchup from a pure basketball standpoint. It'll be tough to target which net's going to go off against this Clipper matchup, but it's fair to have moderate interest in all three of them. Russell Westbrook was sensational. Put up 71 FanDuel points. Is now priced up to 10K and 9-1 on DK. That 9-1 price tag on Russell Westbrook looks fantastic right now with the way things stand. Prefer the 9-1 price tag to him compared to Kyrie at 8-8. Harden is 10-9 on DK. Kind of expensive. I prefer Lillard to him just because I think the upside with Lillard is amazing. I am speechless at how high this upside could be against this Washington matchup. Talking about Curry, Curry's 9,600. I think he's a pure GPP play in this situation. He also has his own volume, but Curry just, I really was like hoping this year we would be consistently getting north of 50 fantasy points from him. It's just not the case. I like that his shot volume's in the high teens, but man, he should be shooting a lot more for this Golden State team. $9,400 on FanDuel. It's fine. Nothing too great. It's an okay price tag. In the mid tier and pay down option, I like Reggie Jackson, $5,500. I like that he's getting mid 20 minutes. There's an upside for some more, and maybe he gets hot and gets going. He hasn't been bad in the starting lineup. They're going to rely on him until Pat Bev is back. And Mike Conley, 6,400. If that game goes, I think he's okay. Nothing great. Conley's just an okay play nowadays. Never too exciting, and he won't really burn you. It's Detroit. It's a pretty nice matchup for him to take advantage of. And pay down. How do you feel about Ish Smith? Do you think that Ish Smith's production was for real? Do you think we can expect that against Portland?
I mean, against Portland is probably the spot you're going to find it, and that's all we really care about is tomorrow. I got to think he got a little extra boost to those minutes because he was playing pretty well. He got to 24. I didn't expect something like that for his first time out of the gate. I mean, we hadn't seen him play for 3 weeks, so it was hard to expect him to play 24 minutes right out of the gate here, but definitely with why not take a couple shots against Portland? Like there's not a better matchup. There's not a better spot to really go to. I mean, you have Brooklyn, you have Washington, and you have Portland. Like all three of those teams are pretty much track meets on a basketball floor. So maybe take some shots on Ish Smith. I just don't see room for those minutes to really like go up beyond 24. And I think he pretty much got as much out of them as he could. I mean, he went 6 for 9 from the field. Had 3 stocks, 7 assists. Like he played well, and I don't see, maybe at 4,500 you could definitely take some more shots over there. 4,600 over on FanDuel where you have to play 2 point guards. I suppose as I'm thinking about it, but like not somebody I'm like super excited to roster or be like, man, I need to make him a core piece of my lineups tomorrow. And I say that right now, and sure enough, he'll end up being chalk. So that'll be fun. Looking down here a little bit, it gets pretty hairy. I'm not ever a big fan. Like I know there are some random point guard punts that show up like Monty Morris today, kind of a thing. Sad rip, that hurt. Anyway, you'll have a guy to like punt down here eventually, like at some point. I'm just not seeing it tomorrow. I mean, Simons is now 4,300 coming off of a lot of like 27, 28 minute games. No, thank you. Ish Smith is probably as far down as I would be looking to go. Do you have any interest below him at all?
No, I think it's time to jump on over to the shooting guard position. It's tough. Unless if there's going to be some injury news that pops up, it's a risky situation to kind of play some point guard roulette with those cheaper options. Maybe Cole Anthony gets a little bit more run with no Aaron Gordon. We'll talk about the other Magic options in the other positions, though.
Yeah, we'll save that for later. Cole Anthony, nobody enjoys playing him. So Cole Anthony's mom plays DFS and doesn't enjoy rostering him. It's not good. So making our way to the top, that's not true, by the way. Sitting at the top end of shooting guard on DraftKings, James Harden, 10,900. Bradley Beal, 9,900. It's crazy because like Beal was the guy who kind of created the shot. At 50.5, it's weird to say that he was like disappointing the other night, but you're kind of hoping for a little bit more out of it. Against Portland, there's really no reason you can't go back to the well on that one. I'm sure that I will for quite a bit of shares, especially over on FanDuel. 10,800 is a large number, but you're going to get him at a steep ownership discount from James Harden at 10,500. I guess it kind of depends. That might not entirely be true if everybody's healthy tomorrow. We'll see if Kevin Durant or Kyrie end up resting at all. I doubt it, but if so, yeah, 10,500 James Harden would be popular. And he was off the injury report. So making our way down, Paul George, 8,900. Donovan Mitchell, 7,600. Fred VanVleet, 7,400. Probably the guy that burned the most people coming off last, like, I don't know, that 19.5 on DK thing sticks out. It was not fun being overweight on Fred VanVleet the other day because I was. Talk to me about the top end of shooting guard.
Yeah, Harden, 10.9, Beal, 9.9. I prefer the $1,000 savings to Beal over there on DK, while on FanDuel it's vice versa. Beal's $300 more than Harden, while Harden's it might be a better play over there. So kind of buy your players where they're lowest, and I think it's a good way to put yourself in a good position where you can play the right players at the right prices. Other options to consider. I like Paul George, $8,400 on FanDuel for sure. I like saving the $400 compared to Van Vliet over there. Van Vliet is a steep $8,800. If you want to get unique on a little smaller slate, I think you could do it. But I like George. I would say George has a higher upside than Van Vliet, and I like that 84 price tag quite a bit. Donovan Mitchell, if he goes against Detroit, I like that matchup a decent amount. But he's coming off that concussion. This game might not play, so keep in mind to the news. Make sure to follow all the news at Awesemo NBA to monitor the situation. It's going to be a pretty important thing to break down if the game plays, and if it doesn't play, just the whole game scraped off the schedule. So keep that in mind. And going down into some other value options to consider on DK, Jeremy Lamb, $5,400. He's playing 30 minutes, I think, which is very promising to see, and it's nice to see that. I think we should be considering him for sure. Fournier, $6,300. Maybe that volume of shots is going to go up. I expect that efficiency to go up. He's a much better shooter of 2 of 12 and 3 of 13 the last 2 times out. Yes, it's against Toronto. I think $6,300. It's nothing too exciting, but in a short slate and smaller slate like this, it could work out. Terence Ross, $5,300. I like that quite a bit. I expect the shot volume to get there. I expect some few extra minutes to trickle down his way with the Gordon situation. I think we can definitely consider Terence Ross, who is $4,700 on FanDuel. I think that play definitely sticks out. And I think we need to consider Lamb as well, $5,300 over there. How do you feel about Terence Ross, and any interest in Andrew Wiggins for you?
Yeah, we've talked about Terence Ross quite a bit, and my feelings about him. I like playing him when he's not popular. I will go overweight. When he's popular, I get off and let the people chase a shooting-dependent game. I mean, he's a guy that is volume scoring dependent. So I think that generally plays a little bit better over on DraftKings because you do get that half point per three-pointer bonus. So, I mean, I could look at taking some shots maybe over there on him, but like not somebody that I'm like super, super excited, like 5,300 against Toronto. Like, I know it's not like the Toronto of old defensively, but like not something I'm like actively going out of my way to roster. I'll see what his ownership is. 4,700 though on FanDuel is definitely a nice number. I suppose I just said I prefer playing him on DraftKings, but that price definitely matters. So 4,700 over on DraftKings. We'll see what that ownership comes up to. Looking around the rest of the position, Jeremy Lamb, 5,300. I do like that call. I like going to getting some shares of him. We'll just keep seeing, what he ends up being. Like, if he's playing these low 30s minutes, awesome. Like, that's fantastic. I hope that he can maintain. Obviously, they saved him up, made sure he was healthy, and he's ready to go. So I see no problems going there, but I'm sure he will be pretty popular. So might have to see kind of what ownership lies in on. I know that that's kind of just the bailout on it, but like some of these plays, you just have to kind of see where they end up being owned at before you really kind of make a decision. But Terence Ross for sure is somebody that if he's popular, I'm off. And if not, that 4,700 number I would definitely get on top of. I'm looking around down here again. It's not pretty. It is really, really gross. Bruce Brown is no longer a thing as long as James Harden's back and you have those trio of guys back. Plus, he's got a $4,300 tag over on DraftKings and FanDuel. So that's definitely a no from me, dog. Wayne Ellington, 4,300 over on FanDuel. I could see having a little bit if that game is there, like if that game ends up playing. Again, just another volume scoring dependent guy. Like, it's just not a very exciting position to be paying down at from what I'm looking at. Do you see anybody else down here? And then we'll move on.
No one really, unless some news breaks out. It's a tough, seeing those first two positions, tough to spend down. No one really that stands out to me.
Terence Davis is probably the one guy I guess I should throw in. 3,800 over on FanDuel. What's his tag over on DK? It's 4K. So I could see if Powell continues to be out, kind of seeing how all of that ends up shaking out between him and OG, who's going to be out tomorrow, saying that he's going to probably be out another week. So I could see going back to Terence Ross, but man, it's not been that much fun rostering him. So let's move ourselves on to small forward, shall we?
Let's do it.
Yeah, nice. Before we do, let's just quickly talk about NBA packages starting at $4.95 per week. All you got to do is go over to awesemo.com/join NBA. We have a million of different offerings behind the paywall. Again, the game plan videos have just been awesome to watch. Worth the price of admission alone. You're getting kind of an exclusive look at behind the scenes how Alex is preparing, how Steve Buzzard's preparing, DeColts. We have so many different guys back here, and just taking a look at some of the stuff that they put into their process can be really an invaluable part. I always find it better to kind of like learn the process and learn what the tools are saying, learn how they're going about putting together lineups. Like that for me is like even more important than just being told who to play. So definitely check out some of those offers starting at $4.95 if you want to check out the projections, Awesemo Plus and Platinum memberships. We have so many different offerings for you. So take a look at that over at awesemo.com/joinnba. Getting to the top of small forward, Kevin Durant over on DraftKings is 10,100. He's Kevin Durant. You're now getting what is that no? He's the same price he was last game. So legitimately, it's Kevin Durant. You can't say anything about his upside. I can't imagine against the Clippers that wouldn't be a fun match. Like that's just going to be a fun game to watch in general. So I'm stoked to watch him and Kawhi go at it. So Kawhi sitting right below him at 9,200. He's kind of the guy that I always prefer out of him and Paul George, although it hasn't been pretty of late for Kawhi. You're probably disappointed if you have him in a year-long team or something, but luckily, all we're looking for is for him to go off against Brooklyn tomorrow, and at 9,200, that's a nice discount to get. Jaylen Brown, 7,800, that price is starting to dip down, as kind of expected with the addition of Jason Tatum back into the lineup. That's a big piece, and cutting into that usage, so 7,800 is a tag you could still definitely get on top of. We saw multiple games of 50 or 45 plus with Tatum in the lineup, so no problem there. And then Jerian Grant sitting at 7K, which is kind of like the low end of Jerian Grant. So if that game were to play, that's a nice price tag to get on a guy that he missed his revenge spot today against Denver, but going to Utah, I could have some interest there. Talk to me about small forward.
Yeah, we need to talk about this KD Kawhi matchup. So the Brooklyn Nets defensive rating is 119.9. That's currently worse in the league, and it would be the worst ever in the history of the NBA. That's how bad this Brooklyn Nets defense is. So keep that in mind. It's been pretty terrible, and it got so bad that they're going to count on Iman Shumpert to solve all their defensive problems. So go figure.
That's never good. Never good.
Kawhi and KD, Kevin Durant, 11,200. Kawhi Leonard is a $1,500 difference, and I like that savings. It's kind of like. It's tough to pay up for all these great studs, and I think I'll take those savings with Kawhi Leonard. Don't get me wrong, Kevin Durant is a phenomenal player. I'm going to obviously have him projected him higher than Kawhi, but there's a path where Kawhi can outscore KD for sure. And he's $9,200 in DK. Kevin Durant's 10-1. They're both fine options. I don't really dislike one or the other. There are going to be lineups where I'm going to make sure to have both of them in a little face-off between each other. Other options to keep in mind of in the small forward position. It's another weird position. I like Jeremy Grant if he's going to play 7K. I know he was kind of popular today on some sites. I think if the game goes, I think we got to have interest at $7,000. I think his price has now come down for his aggressive role now. Kelly Oubre Jr., $5,700 against Boston is okay. Nothing too exciting on DraftKings. And
was that an inadvertent Boston accent? It was like it came out so Boston. Okay, continue on. I loved it. These are the moments I live for on this podcast, where it just kind of like cuts the brick and mortar.
Washington.
Oh, there it is. Washington.
I switched midway through to Boston.
So good. Keep going.
But I think. On FanDuel, Hachimura played 29 minutes last time. In this Portland matchup, Portland's not a great defense whatsoever, but Hachimura is going to play. Hachimura played 29 minutes last time, yes. If he's going to play that around those similar minutes, Hachimura could be the one who gets going for Washington. Could pay off that price tag, especially on FanDuel. We need a roster too. Fournier, $6,400, I think is fine. Justin Holiday is just getting all the minutes in the world, so he's going to play mid-30s minutes. He's going to have to be in consideration at $4,600 against Memphis, who is not that nothing to be scared of. Jeremy Grant over there, $6,800 if that game goes. Definitely in play. And I think it's now with everyone all hands on deck. Joe Harris, I don't think is worth rostering, even at $5,000. it's going to be tough for him to really follow up a career performance again against this Clipper matchup.
Good call. Yeah, my guy that I would be off on, again, if this game plays, we've said this 4 times, make sure you're following Awesemo NBA so you keep up to date on all of the news. We drop in starting lineups, drop in all the goodies. So, just follow them, have the notifications set up. But Bojan Bogdanovic, friend of the podcast, Bojan Bogdanovic, he's gone out the last two, 5,400 and 5,800 over on DraftKings, went for 38 and 39 when he was told that he couldn't have a ceiling, and he absolutely busted through it with 2 sublime shooting performances. I'm going to get off at 5,900. That just seems like a big number, and he's gone 7 for 11 and 5 for 10 from 3 the last 2. Don't get me wrong, he can definitely get on top of it against Detroit and knock down some threes, but I try to get off these shooting-dependent guys as those tags kind of go up, because there's really no room for him to bust through without adding some stocks or some ancillary stats, and he just doesn't really do that. He's kind of the shooter. Fun to watch, really good for Utah basketball, but not so much from a fantasy aspect, somebody that I want to go back to. Kelly Oubre is 5,500 against Boston. Oh, man, it's just so hard to even, contemplate playing him there. He's not somebody that I love to be rostering anyway. I feel like I'm below, I'm way below on him every single slate. So against Boston, I doubt he garners much ownership anyway, but still another guy to kind of gear off of. For me, the big question kind of becomes, because small forward is a position that you and I like to punt a lot, that we try to look at lower end options, and on FanDuel, because of how crazy that tag is for Kevin Durant at 11,200, we kept Kawhi at 9,600. Who's somebody sitting below 5K that you would be looking at pairing, other than Hachimura, who you obviously alluded to before? Could we look at maybe Josh Jackson, Stanley Johnson, Doug McDermott? Who kind of catches your eye below 5K?
Below 5K on FanDuel, I think Justin Holiday definitely stands out to me, $4,600. I like the minutes over there. Hachimura is the other one. And then outside of that, maybe Denny Avdia, but his minutes are too low for me to be really too excited over there on FanDuel. Outside of that, man, I think you can take some shots with Josh Jackson just because he's someone who could get hot and get going. But that's kind of rounds it out. Not much interest in Stanley Johnson. I would consider Carmelo at $4,900, but no, that's kind of the extent. It's tough for me to even go past 4K over there tomorrow, the way things stand.
Yep, it's crazy. Some of these bottom end options, as the season goes on, anybody who plays any significant minutes is not going to be minimum salary for that long. And if they're playing so bad that they go down to 3,500, like Josh Okogie, there's probably a reason you shouldn't be rostering them in the course of that game. So, I'm kind of with you there. I'm looking elsewhere. I think I'm kind of ready to move on. How about you?
Yeah, power forward position we go.
Yeah, let's do it. Make sure you guys get down. If you haven't already, I'm just going to remind you one more time. Hit that subscribe button. It does wonders for us. We love you guys for it. If you guys want us to keep pumping out some good free content all over the Awesemo channel, just make sure you hit subscribe and know when all of this stuff goes live. Trust me, you won't be disappointed if you're in the daily fantasy circles. It is a good place to be checking in on. Yeah, let's keep it moving. Top of power forward. You got Sabonis. So Kevin Durant 10-1 again on DraftKings. He's small forward, power forward. Domantas Sabonis 8,700. That's kind of a lower end tag. We've been seeing him, coming from the mid 9Ks. He was sitting at 9,500 for a long time. It's starting to creep on down. The minutes are still there, still playing 37, 38 minutes a game. The big difference is that you have Jeremy Lamb and Brogdon now together on the floor, and that's just cutting into the usage. And you're just seeing that from a volume perspective. He's also shot the 3-ball like absolute trash the last 2, so I think he's gone big 0-4 the last 2. So you can maybe see some upside there if he were to actually knock down some shots and get on top of it for a 30-point, 10-rebound game and really kind of blow that tag away. But 8,700, definitely interest there. Moving down, we've got Tatum, 8,600. I love that his minutes, we saw 40 minutes coming out of the gate here for him. 3 games into being back is a beautiful, beautiful thing. That makes me very excited for an 8,600 Jason Tatum against a Golden State team. Draymond Green, good luck with Jason Tatum. Enjoy that. Godspeed to you. And if you talk about Draymond Green during this segment, I'm going to be so mad. Talk to me about power forward.
So Sabonis, $8,700, $9,100 on FanDuel. Sabonis had crossed 10K not too long ago on DK. He didn't get there on FanDuel, but he had pressed 10K on DK for a game. but his price has now come down. I think we could take advantage of a cheaper price tag of Sabonis for this year, and I think there's definitely a path for him to outperform that price tag and take some lineups to the top. I like Sabonis quite a bit. Tatum against his Golden State Warriors team. Yeah, I love that he played 40 minutes against the Lakers. And if this game were to stay close, I think we can expect high 30 minutes again. So I like Jason Tatum on both sides, $9,500. And I believe he, like you said, he was 8,600 on DK. That's a fine price tag. Siakam, $7,700, has power forward and center eligibility on DraftKings. Has been very good the last 2 times out. Been very aggressive with the shots. I think we against the same Orlando matchup, he just put up 55 fantasy points. I like Siakam. I think we could definitely expect some at least high 30s, and that's a nice foundation at $7,700 for your lineup. And other paydown options to keep in mind of. Davis Bertans has not shot the ball well whatsoever this year for the Wizards, but he played 30 minutes, $4,700, especially on DraftKings. Bertans has like unlimited shooting range. Like he could shoot from half court and just knock him down. He's an absolute sniper from 3-point distance. I do expect that 3-point shot to get going, and he can get that 3-point bonus and really help you out on DraftKings. I like Bertans quite a bit. $4,700 against this Portland defense. I think we need to be considering Bertans for sure, especially $4,300 on FanDuel. I think he'll be fairly popular as well. I think rightfully so. I like Bertans a decent amount. Other FanDuel options, Robert Covington is the new honorable mention over there. Covington is someone who I think can pick up some steals in this Washington matchup and pay off that price tag at $4,900. There's quite a bit of options on Power Forward tomorrow. Just to mention off some names that you could definitely be considering. Now that there's no Aaron Gordon, it'll be interesting what the front court rotation is going to look like. Kem Birch might get some extra minutes. Maybe he might share the court with the Vucevic a little bit more. Chuma Okeke is going to be returning for the Magic. There were some news and notes about him that we should be considering. Chuma Okeke was someone who was really good at Auburn, tore his ACL. He's a rookie, designated rookie this year, I guess. But I expect his minutes to be limited. So he might be in the rotation. Keep in mind with that. Chris Boucher has fallen down to the earth. He has come down mightily and come down fast.
So sad.
He hasn't crossed 20 minutes in 3 games. But we know what Boucher's upside can be. And I think taking some GPP flyers with Boucher, man, it hurts for me to say GPP flyers with Boucher now after someone we were riding a couple weeks ago pretty hard.
We rode him up to 8.2K. I mean, it was like to the top of the roller coaster, and now it's been free falling really, really quickly. So thanks, Nick Nurse, for all that you do for the people. We appreciate you, you idiot. Well, no, he's a smart basketball coach. It's weird too because like in the bubble, he was somebody that we just could predict. Like we knew what the Raptors minutes were going to be for just about everybody, and it was just like such a reliable thing. And now trying to figure out Boucher is just so painful. So anyway, looking down around power forward, you're right. There are a lot of like these lower end options that fit. Daniel Tice is somebody that I'm going to have a lot of interest in. 4,500. He's kind of like emerged as like the main 5 for Boston. 34 minutes against the Lakers, 27.9 there. Going up against Golden State, like you're going to get Looney, you're going to get Wiseman in the second unit. Like Daniel Tice just kind of matches up well. Somebody who can like step outside and knock down some threes too. He's got that in his repertoire. So I have a lot of interest in that lower price tag, 4,500 over on DraftKings, on FanDuel. Over on DraftKings as I'm switching back over, kind of like looking around like in this midsection, that 5K number. Xavier Tillman is 5,100. He only played 23 minutes today, but continues to like just go nuts. He had 2 blocks, two steals to go into the middle of I needed that one more rebound very, very badly because I was overweight for sure on Xavier, and I wrote him up today on the NBA Slate Starter article. And so that near double-double would have been nice. Got around 34, 35. I don't expect, 5,100, I don't expect to run this good, this much, but like I just knew that there would be a lot of reduced ownership there. I wish those minutes, I thought that there was like a possibility they could get up to like 25, 26. I'm not as optimistic going forward. I'm going to take my happiness and move on with that play and just be off for tomorrow. Anybody else you want to talk about before we get to center?
No, no one really else. It seems like a nice position where you can mix and match with ownership throughout the day and make some informed decisions based off that.
Agreed. Let's Mo Wagner's 4,800. I'm sorry, I just had to he played 20 minutes, put up 32. Don't play Mo Wagner. I think that's probably something we shouldn't do. I say that now, and he's just going to put up 40. Anyway, we go to the top end of center over on FanDuel. 9,100 Rudy Gobert. That's a big number for Rudy Gobert. It was a lot more fun rostering him at 7,500 and such, coming off of two disappointing games after two not disappointing games. So, I mean, it's weird to be paying 9,100 for a guy coming off of a 33.4 and 26.1 fantasy point outing. So I'm curious what that ownership over on FanDuel is going to be against Detroit should that game play. Just a weird thing to look at. I don't know. FanDuel updates their salaries once a week, or maybe, I don't know. And so maybe that's why we're getting the 9,100. It's like on 3-day delay. So getting to Nikola Vucevic down there at 8,800, I'm getting better at saying his name and being able to read it and have my brain correspond with it. Going up against Toronto, Aaron Baines action, not worried at all about Vooch in that spot. 8,800 with Aaron Gordon out. Expect him to add a little bit more into that offense too. So 8,800, I expect him to be popular, and he should be, and I will have a lot of him, I am sure. Miles Turner, 7,400. Again, I'm going back to the Lofty stat where his block rate and his rebound rate are about the same, which is just mind-blowing. So over on FanDuel, where you get 3 for those blocks, that's not a bad thing to invest in at 7,400. And then Enes Kanter, we'll throw him in the mix too. 7K. That's a great number there. I'm not sure what he did against Milwaukee today. I was a little light on him compared to the field, except for on Super Draft, where he was the man. And thank you to Super Draft for taking care of everybody. Let's move on and talk about center here.
Yeah, I think I'm going to switch it up. I think we need to talk about all the way on the bottom first today. I was just looking at the prices.
I love you.
Kevon Looney is $3,400 versus Boston. James Wiseman is not going to be playing for the Warriors tomorrow. He's out for a week. Now, what Kerr's going to do with this front court rotation, he might go small and play Pascal at the 5 potentially. If Boston goes small, it will be really interesting to see the chess match between Stevens and Kerr tomorrow. Pascal's a main on power forward at $3,500. Someone I think we can definitely consider that I overlooked. And he is 3,500 on DK as well, who has small forward and power forward eligibility. So kind of just going back to make sure I mentioned that, just looking into the Wiseman injury. Shooting back to the top, Gobert is $7,200 on DraftKings. I think that is a fantastic play if the game were to play. So Gobert at that price tag is fantastic. Vucevic, $8,200, fantastic. No Gordon. Vooch at 8,800 on FanDuel. I like that quite a bit. He might be my favorite center over there. If Valanciunas plays against Indiana, if there's some minutes limit, there might be. Just keep in mind with that front court situation with him as he returns to the team. Kanter, I love against Washington. We know his upside. If he's getting 30 minutes against this Washington team, 50 fantasy points is definitely in play for him. Kanter on both sides, 6,900 over there. Very nice price tag for him. I think we can definitely consider Kanter as a kind of solid center option for sure. Other options, I think Mason Plumlee's size is going to be needed against Gobert. If Plumlee stays out of foul trouble, I think we can definitely consider Plumlee, 5K on DraftKings. And I think a low-owned option that people are not going to really play, Miles Turner is seemingly under-owned on every slate he's there. And just because he's tough to really pinpoint and be confident when you select him.
People like playing Sabonis more, too. I think there's a little bit of that as well.
Yeah, and I think Turner has a upside in his bag. There have been games, multiple games where he's had over north of 50 fantasy points. I think we should be consider Turner as a nice GPP pivot off of these guys. It's a nice center option led by Kanter and Gobert and Vooch. I think those three definitely stand out to me.
Oh, but you led with Kevon Looney, which is great, and I loved it. That was hurtful. I guess for me, the thing is that Wiseman's only been playing 16, 18 minutes a game, like right in that ballpark. So I'm not going to overreact to it, but you're right, 3,400 over on DraftKings where you can play two centers. It's hard for me, even at 3,900, to lock him in on FanDuel, mainly because those minutes can kind of get spread out amongst a lot of people. Pascal, Draymond, a couple of other people. Man, I don't want to play Draymond. Don't make me do it. I don't have to play Draymond again, right? He's just going to go for 22.
It's I can't never hate on Draymond, but $4,900 on FanDuel, man. We're all gonna fade him, and he's gonna go for 55 fantasy points, put up a vintage Draymond.
No, he's not. You bite your tongue. All right, let's talk about finishing up center here. Yeah, I'm looking around here. I mean, on DraftKings, Gorgie Jang 4,700 is just like too big of a tag now. Just not going to be interested there. Looking around, Kem Birch is now probably, as you said, with Amatu back. That Chetty, right? For Orlando, the Auburn guy, right?
Chuma
Okeke. There we go. Thank you. Okeke. He's going to be there. So Kem Birch value 4,200. That's probably nixed as well. So yeah, I don't have anything else to add here. I guess I do have to throw in my casual Time Lord thing that I need to let it be known that I will have some Robert Williams in my life, and I will not feel bad about it over on DraftKings at 3,500. He came off of another massive game. If he gets any kind of minutes, or if this thing is like, he can get there in 18, 20 minutes every single time. He did last time against, I believe, the Lakers. Yes, 29.25. And it was nice to have a little bit there. I'm sure I will again. So he's my last guy to bring up. He's actually fun. Texas A&M. Let's go. Anybody else for you, Rayen Pack?
No, it seemed like a fun star-studded slate. The national TV game between the Clippers and Nets is going to be fantastic. And the nightcap's not going to be too bad between the Celtics and Warriors. So that's going to be a nice little national TV TNT doubleheader for us on this Tuesday. But before we head off, make sure to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. Those reviews have been great. Keep doing that. We appreciate your support. Make sure to take advantage of the giveaway that we're having. And we hope one of you is the one of 50 that gets, many of you will get one of those 50 passes that are up for grabs. And thanks for tuning in yet again. If you're joining us for the first time, we hope you enjoyed it, and come back tomorrow night.
Can't say it better myself. We're out of here. See you on Wednesday.